Tom's Garage, and if you saw from my last video, we did take delivery of a Tesla Model S. So it's not a brand new Tesla, as you can see from the front. It's pre-facelift, but it's new to us, and we got it for a great deal. So I'm going to tell you guys all about it, how we got it. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the vehicle as well, and we'll also get some quick driving impressions too. So we bought the Tesla back in January. So if you notice from the video, we're in June right now, and in the previous delivery video there was some snow on the ground. We had a freak snowstorm in Texas last winter. So that video, I actually recorded it, it was like the first week of January. We placed down our deposit to buy that Tesla just before Christmas, did some traveling, and arranged delivery right afterwards. So we bought the Tesla from Vroom.com, and if you haven't heard of Vroom, it's similar to Carvana. So Vroom, Carvana, they're competitors, and what they are, they're online car dealerships, and what they promise is a hassle-free car buying experience. So similar to CarMax, except you don't even have to go to CarMax. So you don't haggle for the price. Everything's clear up front, and they can handle all the financing and do everything for you. So Vroom, they had a couple Teslas listed. This one was actually listed as sold, and I inquired about it, and they turned out that someone had canceled or changed their mind on it. So we ended up buying this for $32,000, which seemed like a crazy good deal, especially at the time. Even right now, it's a 2013 with 62,000 miles, and Tesla's in similar condition, similar miles, through the certified pre-owned program. They actually sell, I've seen $45,000 around that mark right now. So the prices have definitely gone up. Late last year, there was stories about being able to buy really cheap Tesla Model S's, but I think when the Model 3 came out, increased demand came in for Teslas in general. I've been seeing a lot more on the road. That ate up the supply, and now all the Teslas are more expensive. So 2013, this is the real wheel drive, so it's the S60, 60 kilowatt hour battery. Brand new, it was rated to have 200 miles of range. One of my initial concerns with buying a used Tesla Model S was not only the high potential repair costs for out of warranty repairs that were needed, but also battery degradation. So if you ever follow other electric cars, the Nissan Leaf, especially the first gen Nissan Leaf, was notorious for battery range degradation. And what that means is similar to when you use a cell phone. When you first get it, you get great battery life, and as you near that 2-year mark, your battery only lasts maybe half as long as it used to. Mainly due to how many times that you charge it, also due to heat that the battery's exposed. So the Nissan Leafs, the first gen ones, they were rated at about 90 miles of range, but in hot climates like New Mexico and Arizona, owners were reporting that just after a couple of years, they were only able to get maybe 50 miles out of the car, in some cases even as low as 40, turning that car into a paperweight essentially. So the Model S, Tesla, they put a lot of engineering, R&D resources into developing the cooling system for the batteries. So the battery pack is actively cooled, so even when you charge, if the battery gets too hot, when you walk away from the car, you'll hear the fans, they're on. It's because it's running coolant through the batteries. And because of that, these battery packs last a long time. And what really sold me on buying a higher mileage Model S was reading about Tesla in the Bay Area. So they have a fleet of Model X's, and they do shuttle services from San Francisco to LA to Las Vegas last time I checked, and they have several vehicles that have over 300,000 miles of range. And what they found is even with all of those miles on the battery packs, all of the charging cycles, they were still able to get about 95% of the original rated battery capacity, which is amazing. So this guy only having 60,000 miles gives me a lot of confidence that it's going to last us until our next Tesla that we get, and we'll probably end up keeping this one for a while, even if we do get a Model 3 and a Model Y. So no worries at all with higher mileage Teslas. It doesn't have the warranty. It came with the Vroom warranty, which was 3 months, 2,000 miles, something like that. So if you had any initial issues come up, they would go ahead and fix that. But we didn't have any issues when we got it delivered. They even put brand new tires on the car. They're good, you know, they're the original OEM rated tires. So brand new tires. Interior is in perfect condition. I just had this detailed yesterday, which is why I'm doing the video now versus earlier when it was delivered, because I wanted to give you guys a good clean look at the vehicle. But yeah, absolutely no issues with it at all. The only delivery piece that we had was there was a small ding on the hood. You can barely notice it unless you're at the right light, and they ended up you know, giving us money to get that repaired. Haven't repaired it yet, but we'll probably end up getting that pulled out just because I have some OCD about my vehicles. Yes, so when I do the overview of this vehicle, I'm not going to go into a lot of depth on the center console and how that navigation system works. I have a Model X video that I did for a P100D. Very in-depth walkthrough for all of the options, features, what you can configure in this car. So instead, what I'm going to focus is more on the Model S specific features. So what's different on the Model S versus what you would see on the X, as well as what you would see on the Model 3. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention as well, I think if I didn't mention the price, we bought this for only $32,000. I have that in the title as well. So a steal of a price. We could not, you know, afford to turn it down. Essentially, we've always liked the Model S, but they were pricey. We have a reservation down for a Model 3. So this was a great way to get into the Tesla brand, and also if we do decide to sell it, you know, within, you know, a year or two, I have no doubt that we'll get our original money back, if not more. All right, so a couple things that you'll notice while I adjust this. Yep, so a couple things that you'll notice on the car compared to the Model X. So this one, being a 2013, is the pre-facelift. So it has like the black faux grille. It's not a real grille. They just did that just so it, you know, didn't scare people when the Teslas first came out that it looks that different from a regular car. I'm gonna pull this out into the light so we can get a better view. But before I do, just wanted to show and talk about the door handles. So this is probably one of the most distinctive features on the Model S. So when you get close to the car, the door handles actually present themselves, which is pretty cool. They're very easy to use. You just grab that, it pops in, and then when you walk away from the car locks, they pop back in. So they help mainly, I know they help in terms of aerodynamics, so it gives you a little bit better efficiency. But I think really Elon just wanted to, you know, make this car as technologically advanced as possible, and the door handles were a great way to show off the engineering of the Tesla team. The only bad thing with these door handles is if you do have an out-of-warranty repair, out of everything on the car, the door handles are the piece that is most likely to fail. What happened was when they designed these, they used plastic gears inside, and that's what retracts and extends the door handle. And those plastic gears have a tendency to strip out. I'm not sure why. They might have figured it out now. They might have replacement parts, but for the original Model S's, those plastic gears would strip out, and if you were out of warranty, it would be close to $1,000 repair due to the labor involved to pull the part. The part itself is very cheap. It's just it's a labor-intensive job. So that's one thing you need to watch out for on a used Model S. So going to the back of the car. So the charging port is very similar to the Model X. The only thing that this one doesn't have is that the door does not automatically close. It will open. So if you pull this out, you just hit the door handle or the locking handle. It comes out, the light turns blue, means it's ready to insert. If you close it, it'll stay locked. You can remotely release that from within the car on the head unit. What's cool is you can also just hit twice on the charger and it opens it up, and you can put the charger in, locks it, and then once it starts charging, green means it's ready to go. So I'll get this guy pulled out. But before I do that, I'll also point out my charging situation. So when we first got the car, We just use the standard 110 outlet. So when you have the mobile connector, it gives you several different plugs that you can use. So we used the 110 adapter and it worked fine for a while. We have free supercharging for life with the Model S, one perk over the Model 3. So we used that a couple times to get by, and then we would charge on the 110 overnight. The issue is when you charge off 110, you get 3 to 4 miles of range per hour of charging the Model S. So overnight, realistically, you'd only get maybe 50 miles of range, and if you do any other trips other than just driving to and from back to work, you'd quickly get down into the lower charge states and you have to go to the supercharger to top it off. So I ended up getting an electrician to install this 240 volt outlet. So it's the NEMA 1450. I only ended up paying 150 bucks or $180. He installed the plug and he also gave us a new breaker box. So you can see we have an extension breaker box. There's 1, 2, 3. He installed the one on the left. Yeah, 180 bucks. And now we get, I think it's like 35, almost 40 miles of range per hour. So let me go ahead and get this pulled out, get it out in the sun. We'll do a more in-depth walkthrough. All right, so walking up to the car, as I mentioned, the door handles present themselves. So unlike the Model X, the doors don't self-present. That was one of my favorite features on the car. You can see that in the video, where the doors would actually open for you. Really sure. So in this one, you have to, open the car door like a normal person, I guess. But that's all right. That'll do. Inside real quick. My iPhone keeps on overheating. It's about 100 degrees where I'm at right now. But as I mentioned, the doors don't self-present. So you have to open them manually. If you have multiple keys, you can assign different driver profiles to the keys. So that way it'll adjust the entry settings for you. Yep. So we get into the car. You can see it's fully charged here. I charged it up to 90%. So in this case, it's 171 miles. The AC automatically turns on for you. Yep. You can see it's on my driver profile, Thomas. It has an easy entry mode. If you do easy entry, it'll move the seat in a more comfortable position for you. But first impressions, it's almost identical, I would say, to the Model X. So the Model X that I was in was very nice. It was $170,000. So it better be nice for the price. This guy is significantly cheaper at $32,000. You could pretty much buy I don't know, what would it be? You pretty much could buy almost 6 of these Model S's for the price of one ludicrous P100D Model X. I'll go ahead and I'll take this guy and save the money for another Jeep and other car projects. Better use some money, in my opinion. So backing up, just moving the car around. So backing up, you can see it's got a very crisp rear view camera. It's one of the first things I noticed in this car. I can't remember if it was the same in the Model X. I think it is. But early reviews of the Model 3 complained that the camera was nowhere near as good as it is on the Model S and Model X. So I'm happy to report that we've got a great camera, backup camera on this car. I mean, for 2013, that's fantastic. So hopping out of the car, we'll go ahead and look at some of these external features. So this is it has the standard 19-inch wheels. I actually prefer this generation of the wheels. So the newer, I think the S70s and 75s, they have like the mini turbine wheels, and I don't know, these look just a lot more sporty to me. 19-inch wheel, plenty of meat. They last a lot longer than like the 21-inch wheels that are prone to blowouts. You've got projector headlamps, so they're HIDs, so actually brighter than the ones on the newer Model S's. You've got LED reflector beams there. Fog lights. Again, you've got the faux grille. very large brakes. This one does not have the panoramic sunroof. I was actually okay with that, you know, being in a hot climate. I don't really use sunroofs that often. So it's just the black vinyl or black painted roof. Actually looks very nice with the white. We have tinted windows, as you can see. I think they're about 35% all around. Back of the car, you can see it's the Model 60, so 60 kilowatt hour battery, because it does not have a D, which means it's the single motor. So if you see a P, it's the performance model, D, dual motor. And if you see P90D or P100D, that's the performance one with the dual motor. And if there's an underline under there, you'll actually see it. That means it has the ludicrous option, which is an extra charge on top of the already high price of the higher end models. You got nice LED taillights. And a quick thing to note as well, this is not the pearl white, this is the standard white. Actually I prefer this one. I've seen with the pearl white, sometimes you get some color mismatches. It's not as bright either, it's like a creamy white. This is a nice vibrant white, looks great with the contrast on the black. It looks great with the wheels. So let's go ahead and look at some of the other features. So I've got the key fob, I've got the Aletta Ocean rubber fob protector. If we press on the back portion of the key, the trunk opens, so it's a power liftgate, another feature you don't have on the Model 3. We wanted to have a big vehicle, and this vehicle has a ton of space. So we're waiting for a baby any day now. My wife actually might be going into labor today. So we already have the car packed with stuff that we're gonna take to the hospital. So I'll just go ahead and pull these bags out so you can just see how much space we have, but it's ridiculous. We've got a Nuna Mix stroller, which is already a pretty big stroller. We have the bassinet attachment, and they both fit in the car. I don't know if you'd be able to fit this in the Model 3 because it's a little smaller, but it has more Jeep than more room than my Jeep Wrangler, which is great. So I'll pull this out so you can see. So yes, we've got a ton of room in the back of the car. There's an optional luggage cover, cargo cover. I don't have that. You've got these little cubbies on the side. Great, that's where I put like the charging adapters and such. And you get this huge storage space underneath. So I've got actually 2 bowling ball bags in here. And there's still more space. So it's actually one continuous space on the bottom to the cubbies, but an enormous amount of space. Even if you just had just the rear trunk, it's crazy how much you could fit in the Model S. There are SUVs on the market that don't have as much room as the Model S. And that's why I love hatchbacks. So some people like to hate on hatchbacks. Sometimes they do look kind of ugly. They look kind of like smushed SUVs, but Tesla did a great job on the Model S. One of my favorite car designs, I would say. It's very sleek. It's a hatchback, but it has more of like that fastback look. So it's similar to like the model or the Audi A7. Similar look there. Got one touch power close for the liftgate. Very nice operation there. It's all one piece. This all hinges from here to there. And going to the front, we've got a front trunk, or a frunk as people say. One of the major perks for the Model S is having additional storage space. So I'll go ahead and open that up. You hit that on the key fob, or you can release it inside the car as well. So this being the single motor, it has more room than the dual motor Teslas. So I have a car seat here as well, just so you can see how much space there is. This is a full convertible car seat, and I was able to slide it into the space that you have here. I mean, it's incredible how much space there is. I still can't get over it. So let me pull the car seat down so you can see. So this being the single motor, on the earlier Tesla Model S's, they actually opened up this space if you had the single motor option. So again, I've seen sedans that have less room in their rear trunk than the Model S has in the front trunk. Pretty neat. It's all sealed, your stuff will stay dry. Got like this insulated cover here, I'm assuming for road noise as well as for installation purposes. One thing you have to be careful with these cars is when you close the hood, and you can see it is held in place through hydraulic arms. So if you lower it, you have to be very careful with these hoods on the Model S's. You're not supposed to drop it, you know, and slam it like you do on a normal car. So what'll happen is, it's kind of a bad design, I guess, but if you just close it, pressing down here in the middle, you can actually cause creases in the hood. So I haven't seen where the creases could be. I think you could also like misalign the hood. In the instruction manual, I was checking to see if they had a sticker here, they don't. But in the instruction manual, what they actually tell you to do is when you close it, you can close it to like the first latch, but then to fully close it, you're supposed to put one hand on that side, another hand on this side, and then close evenly. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. So a lot of people don't know that, and then there were some issues with, you know, like creased hoods, for example. I don't know if ours is even, you know, centered or not. Kind of looks a little bit off, but that's the thing with these cars. And you can see like the gap here versus the gap there. I mean, maybe it's about the same, but yeah, something you need to watch out for on these cars. I mean, panel alignment is always never, you know, really the best in the Teslas anyway, so. A ton of storage space. I mean, if you have kids and you think that you need like the Model X because you need a lot of space, I think you only really need the Model X if you need the 3 rows of seats. There is the option to get the rear seats. They have rear facing seats that fit in the trunk, and because you have that little footwell where I had the bowling balls, that's where the kids' feet would go. They have extra frame reinforcements to make it safer in the event of a crash. So you can actually fit, you know, 7 people in this car, or 5 people and 2 kids. But in that case, it really cuts down your storage space. So I'd say unless you really need to regularly carry 7 people, the Model S is a huge car. I mean, it's longer than most cars. It's like the size of like the BMW 7 Series. So it's gonna fit, you know, almost anyone's needs, no problem at all. Ton of storage space. I think the Model X maybe has a little bit more clearance, but really, I don't think it's anything to write home about in terms of like off-road clearance. So looking at the back, I've got Ace here. It's very comfortable in the back. I'm 6'1". I have my seat basically all the way forward, and you know, it's pretty comfortable. Like, I'm not squished by any means. I'm sitting all the way back. You know, headroom is at a little bit of a premium. I don't know if you can see, but if I sit all the way up, my head's kind of hitting the roof. That's one thing I read on the Model S versus the X. They state that the S versus the 3, they state that the 3 has more headroom, but the S is wider. But I think that's true. I haven't actually sat in back here for a long time, but if you slouch back, then it's more comfortable. Then it's more comfortable. You've got vents in the back, which is great for keeping the little ones cool in the back. My Jeep Wrangler does not have the vents in the back. There's no center console that folds down, no armrest. Carpet interior, I don't have the all-weather mats, but they do great. You have the window switch here, open and close. And then you have standard, you know, what people are used to, door handles. They're not like the, you know, the push buttons that you have on the Model 3, for example. All right, so you can see this car's in great shape. There's only like maybe a couple points where you have some like wear, but It's nothing out of the ordinary for a car with this many miles. So right now we've got 67,000 miles. As you can see, it's in excellent shape. Yeah, we've had no problems at all with this car from the 5,000 miles that we've driven. We have like the cream leather seats. I think they call these gray. They're pretty much white, but a little darker. We like them better than the pure white seats that you saw in the Model X video, because these will stay cleaner much longer. The ones in the Model X, we have a dog, we've got Ace here, and we have a kid on the way. Those seats will get dirty very quickly, and they're a bit difficult to clean. Looking in the center, the Model S, we've got our armrest, and you can move these things forward or backwards, and you reveal 2 cup holders, so that's great. You've got a 12-volt charging port, USB port. There's a dock here, so depending on if you have an iPhone or Android phone, they sell replacement pieces so you can put them in. This folds down, so you can close that off. You can close it here for a completely closed console. So this console does not come standard on the Model S. I think it does now, but when this car came out, this was an option. I think it was $1,000 or $2,000. If you did not have this, you just had like a rubber tray on the ground and you had some empty space here. So this is nice to store things. You do have to watch out for losing like wallets or phones in this space. So it's kind of like a hidden shelf. My wife actually like lost her phone or wallet there. We thought she had left it somewhere, found it a couple months later under there after we had replaced all the credit cards. So that was fun. If you open this, similar to the X, you've got these kind of goofy adjustable cup holders, so you can take these pieces out, you can move them if you need a bigger cup, or if you want to move it forwards or backwards, you can do that. But plenty of storage space. There's no door pockets, as you can see, which is kind of funny on a car like this, but the center console space makes up for it. If you hit this button here, opens up the glove box, similar to the X. Good sized glove box. This being the standard roof, you can see you get a bit more headroom. There's no sunroof. That works great for me, actually keeps the car nice and cool. You've got the normal visors. There's no mirror, or there's no LEDs on these. You just have mirrors. It looks a little cheap, but I guess they have to, watch their costs somewhere on the car. I love the center or the rear view mirror. It's borderless, so it looks great, just kind of floats in place. You've got the speaker here. I think this is used for, this is where the Bluetooth speaker is located. We've got LED interior lighting, has that package. I had the tech package as well. Let me slide over back to the front of the car. A little more difficult to get out of this than the X out of the rear. It's not that bad. We had some family over waiting for the baby to come. We've been driving them around in this car. They haven't had any complaints. They love the car. So you do have the same center display as you do have on the X. Same 17-inch massive screen on the X as well. The Model 3, you have a 15-inch center screen, and it's landscape instead of portrait, and you don't have the speedometer display as well. Some people like that. Some people prefer the single screen. They say it's less distracting. I actually like the 2-screen approach. When you're navigating, for example, you'll get turn-by-turn directions over here. You've got a summary of your previous energy usage. And you can like sort through some menu items, set the temperature, turn it on, turn it off, fan speed. So similar to what we saw on the X. So I'm not going to go through all these features here. The same way to get into gear. The one difference I'll point out, this car does not have autopilot. I did not opt for autopilot because similar cars with autopilot were coming at about a $30,000 premium. While I love the idea and I loved it on the X, I'm really holding out for the full self-driving. There's been a lot of stories in the news with people over trusting autopilot, and it's true they were probably not using it in the proper fashion, not paying attention, but it's an extra temptation. You know, if you have the option to, you know, have the car mostly drive itself, you're going to end up using it and you're going to slip up. No one's perfect. So I'd rather just not have that temptation, wait for the full self-driving. And I also save myself, you know, $30,000 on the car. Everything else is identical. So instead of having the autopilot turn stock, instead this is the cruise control turn stock. And the way that it works is you press in, orange means it's ready to be activated. And it's pretty simple. So what you do is you get up to the speed that you want, you either press it up or you press it down. It locks in that speed. You'll see it on the speedometer. And then if you want to go faster, you press up. If you want to go even more faster, you press it more up. It's like 5 mile/hour increments, same thing for down. And if you want to cancel it or resume, you press forward or backwards. So very easy to use. And then you've got, you know, your windshield wipers, headlights. They're automatic headlights. They're set through, the settings are set for that in here, as you've seen in the Model X. If you want to do the high beams, you hit that. You can actually hear, I don't know if you can hear, but I hear it. They're HID headlights, so when you do the high beam mode, it actually moves the projector up or down. So you don't have two separate bulbs. So it's instantaneous. Yeah, we've got heated seats just like we saw on the X. And let me take it out for a quick spin right now. So I popped it into drive. So that's all you do. There's no shifter. You want to park it, you hit the end here, put it in park. That pops out the door handles. If you want to put it in drive, you press down, reverse, push up, puts the reverse backup camera on. So put it in drive. I'll just do a quick drive around the neighborhood so you can see. So it's very smooth. The 19-inch wheels ride great. Another feature that we don't have on this car, which I think is a plus, is we don't have the air suspension. The adjustable air suspension was a feature that I showed off on the Model X. Instead, this has the standard coil suspension, but it's very compliant suspension. So it's not overly bumpy. It's very smooth. It handles great, and it's one other part that you don't have to worry about potentially breaking or having to replace in the future. So it drives great, handles great. I mean, it's a heavy car, don't get me wrong, but it handles like a sports car. It hugs the curves very well because it is all the weight's down low with the battery pack. It's very quiet. It's got a good amount of power. I mean, it's not the 90, but I think I read that it's about 380 horsepower. 0 to 60 is just over 5 seconds, so that's plenty fast for me and for my wife, and it'll also save you money on the tires. So if you get like the P100, like the one that I showed you, the Model X, you can expect to replace those tires, you know, every 12,000 miles. I've seen even less, or read reports of even less. And if you're at, you know, replacing those tires every 12,000 miles, they're expensive tires. For the 21-inch wheels, I think they're about $400 a pop. So you can expect to spend, you know, $1,600 around there, $1,500 on tires, you know, about every year if you're driving, you know, the average 12,000 miles a year. So these tires, because the car has less power, they will last, you know, I'm gonna guess 40,000 miles, maybe more. I think that's what I read on the reports. This car had brand new tires when we got it. So I don't know if the original tires lasted 60,000 miles, or perhaps they replaced the tires twice. So I'm gonna guess it's either 30,000 miles or 60,000 miles out of the set. So that's the car. It's very comfortable. My wife loves it. This is the car that she mainly drives. She had a Hyundai Genesis Coupe before. This car, same horsepower, feels much faster. You have an incredible amount of torque. It's like you're driving a turbocharged car, like a Subaru STI. I had one of those, but you know, there's no turbo lag. We love it. and it's one of the safest cars you can drive too. So we knew that we were going to be attempting to have a baby. Luckily, it happened very quickly. We had the baby, or we're having the baby, so having a car, you know, that was safest crash test rating, that was one of the key factors for me. So that's why we ended up getting this car as well. We wanted a safe car. We also wanted a Tesla. We love Teslas. I love tech. I work in tech, and this car has all of the features that I loved about the X at a fraction of the price. The only things that I really miss from the X, I mean, the Falcon wing doors were kind of cool. Maybe it would be easier to get kids in, you know, if you have kids in the back with the car seat, but that's more of a luxury. The air suspension was cool. Being able to lower and raise the height, like if you have a steep driveway like we do, if you do end up scraping, what it does is it'll allow you to save that setting, so it'll automatically lower and raise the car when you need to. Luckily, I don't scrape in the driveway, so not a problem, but that would be a cool feature to have. What else is there that's missing? Autopilot, as I mentioned. I kind of wish it had autopilot, but I'm also glad that it doesn't, so I don't end up relying on it and making a mistake. But other than that, you've got the same interior that you have on the $170,000 Model X P100D. Fraction of the price. Still extremely fast day-to-day driving, 380 horsepower, and that's the lowest trim Model S. They had a 40, those were all upgraded to 60s, but if you get like a 75 or the 75D, they're at about 4.4 to 60, which is very close to what like the Model 3 P performance motor or dual motor, whatever option is going to get. So that's going to be a great bargain once the prices start dropping down on those. Really, unless you want the top of the line and you have the money to spend, go for the lower trim Model S's. You won't be disappointed. You have all the same tech. There's no compromises at all in the car. And then compared to the X, you have an incredible amount of storage space. It's still usable. It's still very comfortable. It's a little sportier in my mind. I like the looks of the Model S the best out of all three cars. Oh, I would say the one feature that I will miss, or that I do miss the most, is the self-presenting features. So in the Model X, when you park it, you put your foot on the brake, the door will actually open for you, and that's more of a nice to have feature, not really one that I miss. But other than that, there's absolutely nothing that I regret about this car. You know, we've got 68,000 miles on it. I'm confident that this car will go, you know, 150,000 miles or more. I have several coworkers that have very high mileage Model S's. No problems at all. So don't be afraid of buying a high mileage Tesla Model S, especially if you want a great bargain. And this car looks great. I mean, as you've seen from the outside, it looks brand new, even though it's 5 years old. No hesitations at all. Ace loves the car. Wife loves the car. Everything's good. All right, I think that's about what I got. So this is Thomas from Tom's Garage. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna have additional Tesla content coming out now that we have this video. I have a Model 3 that I've reserved, and it's actually ready to be configured. I've been just waiting on, you know, see what the pricing would be on the performance model, so I'm going to go through that. Probably going to place the order in the next week and get it delivered. Right now they're saying 3 to 6 weeks, so I'm going to have content on that, content on the Jeep, and I have an update on the Jeep as well. So stay tuned. Have a great day.